Welcome to Finance 300. This is Diana Block. I'm your online instructor. And this week we're going to look at concepts related to the time value of money. So when we talk about the time value of money, we're saying that time is money. So when we have a dollar today, we have options of what we can do with that dollar. We can put it in the bank and it'll earn a small amount of interest, or we can invest it. We can invest it in securities like stocks or bonds. We can invest it in a project. We can invest it in a business, in a restaurant. But we can do things with that dollar so that by the time 6 months or a year or 5 years has gone by, we have more than a dollar. We've put that dollar to use for us. So time is money, because in the 5 years that we've held on to that dollar, it's been working for us. And so when we consider that money has time value, then we want to make sure that we are investing our dollars that we have today in projects that are going to generate returns for us in future periods. And then if we have funds that are going to come in at a later date, like we know we're going to have some funds in the future, we can also use time value of money concepts to calculate what those funds would be valued at in today's dollars. And so that's what in a nutshell, what this chapter is talking about. Money does have a time value. Time is money. We'd rather have the money today than tomorrow, because today we can use it to invest in things so that by the time tomorrow comes, we'll have more than we started with. So that's the idea behind this week's study. And we're going to work through some of your homework problems. There's quite a few, so I want to make sure you're using the right formulas and everything to solve these. So I have the homework assignment open in front of us, in front of my screen here. And so we're going to start off by talking about some of the functions that you're going to use. I recommend using Excel functions to solve all of these. Your textbook will explain to you the formulas you can use. You can use a manual formula to calculate every one of these. There's also time value charts that you can use. They're readily available on the internet that give you tables that you can use to solve these problems. But I think the easiest way to do it is by using Excel, and in reality that is how we solve these problems in the business world now. Excel is a common tool. Everybody uses it in offices, and this is what we would use, is a computer program or just our desktop version of Excel to solve these type of problems. So that's what I'm going to suggest that you use for this assignment. And so I'm going to make sure that you understand which functions or formulas you need to use for each one of these sections of problems. So when we look at the first batch of problems here that are listed as problem 1, it's asking if we have a deposit of a certain amount right now, what will it be if we let it earn interest for 5 years or for 10 years? So what we're actually asking for is the future value of an amount. We've got an amount right now, and we want to know what it will be worth in the future. So Excel does have a function that will solve this for you, and its short initials are FV, and that stands for future value. So I'm going to look at one of these for you. So if you have not ever used this function before, it may not come up immediately when you click the function box. So here's our function. And I have it right here because I use this function all the time. But if you've never used it, you may have to go here to most recently used, click all, then type FV, and OK, so it'll find it. Oops, what did I do? Let's go back. OK, so we got all clicked. I'm going to type FV and enter. And then, so it'll find the future value function, and it tells you down here what FV is. Returns the future value of an investment based on periodic constant payments and a constant interest rate. So this is what we want. Now, once you have selected that at least once in your version of Excel, then when you open Excel, it'll be at the top of the commonly used function, so you won't have to search for it. But we've got the FV function open here, and you see all you have to do is enter your information into these boxes. So on this first problem, for example, we've got a rate of 6%, and make sure you put the percent or type 0.06. If you just put 6, it's going to think the rate is literally 6, not 6%. and you're going to get a crazy answer. So make sure you put either 6% with a 6% symbol or type in 0.06 so it's very clear what your rate is. The number of periods in this particular example is 5. We're going to let this sit for 5 periods at 6%. And then the present value is what we need. So what is the present value? Well, the amount we have right now is $5,000. So you put that information into your function box and you click OK. And Excel will put right there for you how much money you'll need to, or how much money that will be in 6 years, or in 5 years. Now, you may be asking, why is the number negative? It's just something, when Excel looks at cash flows, it looks like cash flow in and cash flow out. So one of these numbers, either the 5,000 you have now or the future amount, has got to be negative, because it's going to say you're going to give up $5,000 now by investing it or whatever to get $6,691 in the future. So one of those is cash flow in and one of those is cash flow out. So don't let it throw you off that it's giving you a negative number. It's saying if you have a cash outflow of $5,000 today, that'll bring in $6,691 in the future. But the point is, we're just looking at the absolute value of the number. So the answer is the $6,691.13. That's how much that will be in 5 years. Now, one of these next ones says, okay, what if it's left for 5 years at 6%, but it's compounded monthly? So you're going to use the same function because it's still wanting to know a future value. But here's what's going to be different. And you'll have to use this anytime that the compounding is not annual. Then you'll have to make some adjustments. So the rate is actually 6%, but it's 6% per year. This is going to be compounded monthly. So we need to get the compounding rate for a month. So we're going to take that 6% divided by 12. Now, you see, Excel has already determined how much that is. That's all we have to do there. Now, so the number of periods that it's going to compound. It's going to compound for 5 years, but at monthly compounding for 5 years. So 12 months times 5 years, that's 60 compounding periods. So that's the number of periods. Our present value is still 5,000. And so you can click OK. Excel will put your answer there and you're done with that problem. So keep in mind, you're going to do that with each one of these. You're going to use the future value function and you're going to enter the interest rate. And based on the information given, that interest rate for the year, you may want to leave that, or you may want to divide it by something so that you get the exact interest rate for the compounding period. So if it's a year compounding, you'll divide it by 12. If it's a quarterly compounding, you'll divide it by 4. Get the idea. And so you'll enter the interest rate, and then you'll enter the actual number of periods that the money is going to compound for. And you'll enter the present value, and Excel will give you the answer. So this first set of problems, you're going to use that future value function. Now, the next one, next section, you're going to use the present value function. This firm has a $10,000 note receivable from a customer. So they're going to receive this money in the future, $10,000. We need to find out how much it's worth today based on information that we're given. So, for example, the note is due in 2 years. The discount rate is 8%. So we're going to get $10,000 in 2 years. We need to know how much it's worth today. You're going to use the present value function. So if it's not already there for you, you'll go to all and find present value, which is PV, and you'll use that function the same way you use the FV. You'll enter your rate, the number of periods, and then that future value amount. And Excel will calculate for you what the present value of that future payment is. And so on this next section, we're going to go back to using the future value again because we have money that we're depositing and we want to know how much it will be at some point in the future. And in these cases, on problem 3, we're making regular deposits. It's not just one set amount of $5,000. We're going to make or $100 a month for 20 years. So there's multiple payments involved. So that's going to be a little bit different, but it's still the future value function. And we're still going to enter our rate. We've got a 6% return in this situation. And it's annual. We've got 20 periods. Now, since we are making regular payments, instead of the present value, we're going to enter the payments that we're making. We're going to enter the amount of the payments that we're getting right here. So let's see, we got $100 a month for 20 years, and it's a 6% return. And oh, look, we're paying $100 a month. So on these number of periods, we're doing this for 20 years, 12 months per year for 20 years. So we're depositing $100 a month for 20 periods and 20 years, 12 periods a year. And so we also then need to get the compounding, the interest rate, on a monthly basis. So let's take a look at this and the problem. The problem says we're going to deposit $100 a month for 20 years with a 6% return. That 6% is annual. So what I've done here is I've put 6% in the future value, 6% divided by 12, because that's going to give me my monthly compounding. Then in the number of periods, I've got 20 years times 12 payments a year. And how much are those payments? $100 a month. And so that will tell us that in this future period, after 20 years of doing this, how much this person will have for retirement. So on the rest of these, on problem 3, that's how you'll solve those. You will use the future value function, but you'll use that payment field instead of entering the one present value amount. And the problem 4 is going to give you similar instructions, except you're going to use the present value. We've got this lottery money. We know how much it is. We're trying to find out what the present value is today. So you're going back to the present value function, applying the same rules that we just discussed. If it's a monthly compounding, you may have to break down the interest and the number of payments. So I want to go down further then. The first 4, you're using either the FV or PV. Now on problem 5, there is a function called payment in Excel. And you'll find it the same way you found the others. And that'll help you find the payment amount when you've already got the number of periods, you got the interest rate. The only thing you don't know is the amount of the payment. So the payment function will help you to calculate that. And on section 6 here, you'll also use that payment function. Now on section 7, you're going to use the function called NPER, which is the number of periods. So Excel has a function that you're going to find, NPER, number of periods, and you have all the other information like the principal amount, the interest rate, etc., but you don't have the number of periods. That will find that for you. Let's see, what other functions? You're going to, on problem 8, I'm going to recommend you use the rate function, R-A-T-E function, and that will do the same as the others. If you have all the other information except for the rate, it will find the rate for you. So you will use those functions. Problem 9, you can go back to using, you will use a combination of the rate or the NPER function. And problem 10, you will also use a combination of the other functions that we've discussed. But if you look through Excel and find each of these functions, they will help you to solve these problems. Now we're almost out of time. This video can only be 15 minutes. But this will help you at least have some direction of where to get started and where to go, what functions you should be using. And try them out. You can always use the longhand formulas that are in the textbooks if you so choose. That may be more complicated though. But if you have any questions, just give me an email and we can talk about it. Send me a copy of your spreadsheet and we'll work through it. I look forward to talking to you throughout the week. And have a great one.